Young David, how are you, son?
Hello, Paul. Always good to see you.
It was. I'm trying to remember what the date was. It was October 30th or whatever. Posted a letter which had come through, like the Cliff Walk, Friends of Cliff Walk letter, just expressing concern about Greystones being on the down.
Yeah.
So the Cliff Walk itself, the lack of dart, and the third, and seemed to be like the least important thing, was the Plaza Market. But it took off as a major problem on social media.
It did. And much to our regret, it was never our intention for this to happen.
I'm trying to think, do you think the shops are lying? Like, why would the shops be demonised for expressing a real concern?
Well, the shops had a legitimate concern. Let's be fair. And we tried to redress that. And we did not want to get into any us and them or the main street versus down here at the harbour.
Right.
But it was a difficult one, and I understand the shop's position. They're paying rates, they're paying rent all through the year. We have tried to accommodate them in the sense that our market now is it's a complete not-for-profit. We're raising funds for Wicklow Hospice and Greystones Cancer Support, as well as a number of others. I mean,
I know the charities is definitely a good thing.
What we need to do, the problem with it was, Paul, social media got caught up in this, and then people were posting up all sorts of messages and this, and the market's the best thing ever happened to town, and all of that. I wasn't involved in that at all. And neither were the other organisers of the market. Categorically, no.
Yeah, well, I know one was now saying that shop owners were calling for the closure of the market, which was never true. That their easy kind of request was that instead of 5 weeks of Christmas, could you guys take 3 weeks? So they have a little bit of a chance.
To be fair and to be accurate, there was an option that the market should shut down this year. It was on the table and it was pushed. So we need to be accurate.
All right, but the shops asked for it to be closed down? Yes. All right, that seems bizarre, because it is a beautiful thing. It's been part of the town.
It was an option that we should take a break this year. They were the exact words. We should take a break and shut the market down. The problem with the market is it's so well supported by the public, by Greystones people. They love it. We get a huge influx coming in from if the darts are running, of course, coming into Greystones on the weekends. And my belief was that this would be a real boost for the town. Now, at the moment, we're running a huge social media campaign, a positive one, to encourage people to come to Greystones for the shops, for the coffee shops, for the boutiques, for everyone, and also to come to the market. So my belief is that it will bring a lot of footfall to the town.
I think it will bring people in for sure, and I think it should be there for absolutely. I think just the fact that it's taken up all of Christmas pretty much is a bit of a shame, because absolutely bring people in. People will not go Christmas shopping and then have the beach house or the creperie or 100 food trucks.
They're all supported.
Right, absolutely, because they get the footfall, but the main street doesn't get that footfall. The main street would get like a small percentage.
This is what we're trying to achieve.
Well, if you got buses going up to the main street, what's going to happen? The people aren't going to go up on a winter's day, another 10 minutes walk up the main street to see other shops when they've already had.
If they come in on the dark, they have to go through the town to come down to us. So
that. They might go by the sea though. That's a nice walk.
They might. I mean, I can't legislate for where people go, but I mean, the bottom line is we're also doing a big campaign, a newspaper campaign, and this is all coming out of our funding, and that's been done over 3 weekends. In the south side and north side.
But you're making that sound like it's all for the town. It's for the market, which is great.
Of course,
the
it's for the market as well, but it's including the town.
But like but it's just there's a little bit of an unlevel playing field here, because you absolutely have a great market. It should be here. I just think that you can obviously then choose to how many times it runs and how it's going to affect the town. 3 shops have closed in the last month, so I do think that you need to be considering. Well, maybe we should give them the last 2 weeks of Christmas. We'll take the rest of it.
Well, you see, the option was for us to just run it in November. Well, that's the craziest Christmas market.
No, you don't do that. No, you run into December, but you don't have to run right off.
Only 1 weekend of December.
Right, but it's still taking like 5 weeks. You're taking a lot of Christmas time from the town.
Well, I mean, where we are at the moment is that's the way the setup is going to be, and it's been.
But is that because I know it's 8,500 for the marquee. It's big business. You've had to make a limited company now to deal with there's so much going on.
Well, it's a company limited by guarantee, because it has to be set up in that format.
Because people might think, well, this is just John and Yoko making ashtrays. It's a business. Like I
didn't get to that.
They might think it's just 1 or 2 kind of hippies making ashtrays. This is it's a good business and it's well run.
It's very well run,
Yeah.
but it's not. I don't get the John and Yoko making ashtrays.
Well,
I
it
mean,
is
the
a
craftspeople
business.
here
It's
are
not
first class. And they're all
absolutely.
local.
That's
they're
what I mean.
local
Yeah.
craftspeople. A lot in Greystones, a lot in Dublin, and
Sure.
this is their outlet for their little business.
I'll get you, but it's like bringing 100 farmers into your town during harvest time and saying, well, they can take the crop as well, because
That happens all the time, Paul.
But that's why it has to be negotiated about what's going to work best for the town overall, as opposed to, well, this is just great for the market, and these are great for the
I'll give you an
stallholders.
example. Wicklow have a Christmas market, and there's absolutely no problem at all.
They're in the middle of the town, which is handy.
Well,
people,
it is, but that's
people are in
just
the
their
town. If
job,
you went to the Burnaby Park, it would be a different story.
Yeah,
but this is a different
we
part
actually
of town.
looked at that.
Right.
We looked at
but it's a
it.
different
It
part of
won't
town.
work.
It's not necessarily right in the town, and people aren't necessarily sticking around.
Yeah. Okay, but it's still a big market. You could argue the same argument. It's taken business away from the town. If I want to buy, as you were using an ashtray analogy, here in the market, or I want to buy one in a gift shop, well, I'm taking that sale away from the gift shop if I buy it in the market. So Wicklow is in the same situation.
Yeah, but it'll be half price pretty much, because there's no overheads really. €25 is your overhead.
Well,
where you look at a
but
shop, it's got like 100,000 a year. They've got to come up with for rent. That's just rent.
Yeah.
Then they've got to get stock and staff
and they're
and
here
bills.
all year. I mean, you can argue these things left
That's
and
why
right.
it's so crucial for them at Christmas to have this moment of actually making some money, because the rest of the year they can be struggling to make any money, and a lot of them are they're not like waving, they're drowning, and then they get stones thrown at them and told, like, why don't you like the water, like get back in the water.
But you mentioned 3 businesses closing down, right?
Right.
I mean, if you take the 3 of them, well, obviously it's nothing to do with the Christmas market.
I don't know, it's only a reflection on the fact that the economy is bad.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not saying the market did it. Nobody's blaming the market. It's just saying that it's a tough time for businesses.
I mean, our intention when we set out was because the market ran to support tiny towns for the last number of years. The market's always been here, Paul.
Sure, no, I
It's
absolutely think it
always
should
been
be
here.
too. It should be, yeah.
I don't really see that. And I mean, we're raising the funds all go to Wicklow Hospital.
I know
They all go to
charity's always a
charity.
good thing, absolutely. And the stall holders are doing great, which is lovely too.
They
That's
are
great.
doing okay as
But
well.
the bottom line is that it's in a town that is suffering from a major economic downturn, and that has to be taken into consideration. Whatever way, you could, and I know that some of the stall holders, like one of them said to the Bray people, this is how I make my living, as if like the shops are doing night shift jobs, make extra money somewhere else. Like, this is how the shops make their living all
But
year.
no, that's a valid point. If you're a stall holder and this is your only outlet, surely
Right.
then that's allowed.
But that doesn't
to,
justify the fact that, okay, well, we can just come in and take over the town for like 5
we're not
weeks.
taking over the town. Come on.
I think for Christmas it is, really. It does take a huge chunk.
I would detect the session at that. We're not taking over the town. We're an add-on to the town. In fact, we're quite the opposite. We are bringing an event to the town that the
All
public
right.
loves.
How about this one?
Oh,
Food
no.
trucks. We put 50 food trucks down in Burnaby Park every weekend. Boom. People get nice, gorgeous food, all sorts of food, very cheap. That would kill the restaurants. And then, to add insult to injury, then you say to them, well, you can bring a food truck down and join us. So what's the problem? You come into the food trucks as well. So you get Chakra with a table.
You're dealing with an imponderable now, bringing 50 food trucks. I mean,
Well,
you
that's
could ar- you
100
could- with all
gift
due respect,
stalls.
You could argue there are great food trucks in there behind us,
Right.
in the boatyard.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not bothering anyone. They're doing really well.
I think if they're in the Burnaby, it would be a slightly different story for the Main Street. But it is just a case of 100 stalls at Christmas is going to be a lot more attractive than your Main Street. It's just a fact. And I think the idea that you
There's
you
space
could
for
you
it.
could sort of allow for the run up that this is so important to the shops. Well, they can have, rather than us doing 5 weeks, we'll do 3 weeks. But I know your economics are that you really have to pay for what you set up, and it's a big operation. But that's the thing, it used to be 30, 40 stalls, now it's 100 plus. Like it
It's
is
not
a big.
180 odd.
Okay, well, it's like 100. It's a major, like the
It
fact
is.
that your marquee is €8,500 it means it's a big
It's a huge
operation.
market,
Yeah.
no doubt.
So that just means it's become much more of a business, and it has to be sort of treated as part of the town's business then, because it is just, it's not,
You see, I could understand if we'd come out of the long grass and decided this year we're going to set up a market. We've been here for years.
nobody's denying that, and I think, as I said, you
But
should
why
be here.
should we be the one? It's the Cliff Walking major
I understand,
problem.
there's
The dart unreliability is another one, massive
but
problem for the town.
there's no point in, like,
so,
you
but
know-
you see, we're the easy target, Paul.
No,
We're
no,
the easy
no.
one. Oh,
You were
we'll
third
shoot the
third
guys
on the
down.
list. You were third on the list, but people made
Well,
it a
we're
major.
not. We're one on the list if you look at the grief. If you
Right.
look at the overall
Right.
engagement or lack of
Right.
We are the one that nobody's talking, shouting, screaming at.
Because there's nobody living on the cliff walk saying, I want it closed.
Why is the cliff walk?
There's nobody on the cliff walk living there saying, I want to keep it closed. I like it closed.
The cliff walk is bringing the business in.
Absolutely. There's lots of factors.
If you talk to the boys in the Happy Pair, they'll say this cliff walk is killing us.
Right, but nobody's denying.
Or the dart is killing us.
The whole idea of the letter was to point out these are three major factors at the moment, and if anything, the Plaza was the third on the list, so it wasn't the biggest one, but that's the only one that's got lots of people.
All the grief.
You're the one that got lots of people on social media going crazy.
We didn't get anyone on social media.
Well, I'm just saying it sparked. No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you told them. I'm saying it created a huge fuss on social media. It did. To the point that Liveline are covering it.
And I spoke to one of the traders who was a spokesperson for the traders, and I apologised, even though I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
I apologised to her profusely that she did not need to get this sort of abuse online, and I hope that made a point. We're above that. We have always been above that. I mean, our last thing is to start being abusive towards people. It would not register, not for me, for a second.
But was there ever a point where you thought, well, maybe we will do 3 instead of 5 weeks because that would really help the shops? Because they're not lying. I just get this idea that people think. No, but I get the impression that people think they're actually, up to something. Like they're trying to create problem. They'd have enough problems of their own. They're not trying to create problems. They got absolutely hammered by the idea that they, had the audacity to say that this is a trouble. This is hard for them to get through.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing of it is, though, I mean, Wicklow County Council, why don't they give the businesses a reduced rate for the period?
Sure.
I mean,
why doesn't Trump stop the war? There's lots of things that should be done.
I know, but these are tangible things that could be done.
But you know that what's also tangible
is
that you could do.
You could do. How stupid is that?
So that's even more reason to say, well, let's give them.
But
we'll be 3 weeks.
You're conflating that every problem is us.
No. Every problem has more than one solution. No, that's not true. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that amidst all the troubles that are out there for businesses in the town, that this would be one thing you did have control over. That you would be able to say, okay, well, you wanted 3 instead of 5. We'll do 3 instead of 5. I mean, the stall holders get 3 weeks of Christmas shopping. Then the shops. Well, they'd get it from what time do you start then? 22nd of November, you'd be into December.
1 week in December.
Right, and then the shops have got the 2 weeks after that. That would be great. That would be a balance because, if people love the stall...
If you look, right, with the marquee, which we have to have, it's $8.5 grand for 3 weeks, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, then you're into...
We'd be like the business, we'd better off to shut down then as well.
But that's the thing, I've heard one hairdresser say that it's the shop's fault for not being market savvy enough. If they were good, they wouldn't have this problem. I'd like to see her and others rent out Bocelli's and put a bunch of stalls in there for 365 days of the year, pay your 100,000 plus rates and all the rest, and see how that works out, because it's a totally different game. To be able to come in and have a table.
I agree with you, but if you look at the whole background to markets in towns all around Ireland, look at the continent. Every year people go on holidays to Vienna,
I'm saying they should be there,
Prague, to all these places, and they're massively successful. They're an add-on. They bring more business and vibrancy into their cities or their towns.
Absolutely.
They don't kill the business. They actually bring the business
What happens in all those locations that the town would work with the markets as to what's going to work best, right? And that's what the town was asking, that rather than 5 weeks, you have 3 weeks, so they have a chance of making up for what is a very difficult time.
That's your singular argument.
Well, I do think it would have been such an easy compromise because the market should be there. It's a great market. Yes. People love it. But the idea that there is trouble in the town for shops, that it should be, well, we'll try and help them. We'll do 3 weeks. We'll try and cut down whatever cost you have. I know you're saying
you didn't hear my point. 3 weeks
isn't enough to pay for all the stuff you're doing. But then you're too big. It's too big for you're into a situation where
the model is based on that period to make the thing viable for the charities. I keep saying that.
Well, hold on. But now it's all for charity. No, it
is all for charity.
Right, okay. But you're dealing with you don't need to go for 8,500 marquee tents. You had it in the Boatyard Gallery. You can have a smaller tent. You can make it a smaller operation because that's what markets are supposed to be. To just local crafts.
We ran it in the Boatyard, but now the Boatyard is full because of other businesses, because they're so successful down here.
Right.
If you ask, just as an example, ask any of the businesses around here locally in the harbour, they would all say to you, during the winter they were dead, absolutely dead as doornails. And when we brought the market down here, because we get the support from the citizens, bring this whole area becomes vibrant.
This
now,
area.
I think that is going to affect the town business as well. It should bring people in.
It'll affect
If
the
you're coming
beach
in on the
house,
dark,
and
you
it'll
have to-
affect. It'll
Sorry.
affect the beach house. It'll affect the creperie. It'll affect this part of the town. And as I said, it should be here, but just that it's gotten almost too big for its own success. Now it's so big, it needs to run for 5 weeks to break even and to get money to charities and all the rest. I think it would be so
And
much
the amount
better.
of work we do, Paul. I mean,
Right, I
I'm
do
not
think you
looking
do
for
a great
any
job.
credit,
But
it's
do you not
huge
see that it's too
undertaking.
big, though? It may be too big for its own good, though. It may have got to the point now where it does need to take up
It's
so
about
much of
being
the...
the same size as the last 3 years.
Right,
So
and each year that's been an issue for a lot of the people in the town have said that, they don't open on a Sunday sometimes because the market just takes that day.
This is the first year we've had a backlash from the businesses.
Okay,
We've never
well,
had a kickback before.
certainly it's been...
Ever.
Well, it's odd that they would...
Kickback's the wrong word.
But they
I meant
must-
to say we've never had a problem.
But they must be basing it on previous experience. They wouldn't be guessing that this might happen. They would base it on last year or the year before, that this is what happened to them.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
I mean,
saying it out of the blue.
The thing is, this is the first year there has been any blowback from the businesses. Now,
Because this is the first year they've really sort of said, wait a minute, every year this happens, we have this big chunk comes out of the town.
yeah, but then you mean that logic is, and what your agenda, what you're pushing essentially
Right.
is the market is the problem.
No,
not
I'm just saying
agreeing
it's
with
gotten
that.
too big now because it does take up, it takes up a lot of your time and money and all the rest. It's double the size it was like 5-10 years ago.
yeah,
And that just means that you're now a much, much bigger operation. You've got to come in with a lot more money to budget the thing. You've got sponsorship, you've got CISC, you've got everybody involved. It's just a very big operation now, and that naturally affects the actual town itself, how much business goes on here.
But you could counter that argument by saying because the market is so vibrant and so big, it brings so much into the
To the
town.
harbour.
To the town.
To the harbour.
To the harbour, yes,
Right.
mainly. I accept that.
Right.
And I'm not going to try and
Because,
jump
well,
and
there's
dive
just-
here.
just not many
But
people walk.
It has to also bring people into Greystones, and people do. An anecdote.
Uh-oh.
My sister was coming out to visit me
Right.
last summer. And normally when she came out of the train, and normally you get to Grey, the train empties, the Greystone train empties.
Yeah.
She could not believe the train was packed all the way to Greystones.
Right.
Why was that, Margaret?
Oh, yeah.
They're coming into Greystones, getting off the train. If the darts ran regularly,
Yes.
there would be no issue at all.
I will absolutely say to you that people come to the town for the market. It's a great market, absolutely. There's no question about that. It's just now the size of it and how much it takes from the town in regard to actual money
But what
that
about the
comes
point
into
I've
it.
just made? If the darts,
People are
if
coming
the darts
out.
were running, they have to literally walk
So
out.
they walk through a town and do all the shopping and then go to a market.
But why not? You'd have a day
Why
out.
would
You'd
you be
go for
doing-
a coffee. You might have lunch. You might go into one of the boutiques or the gift shops.
I'm going to say no.
They're
I
not
think
gonna
you're
say
heading
it.
to a market, you go to the market, and also after the
No,
market.
you're going to Greystones.
Have you studied business? Do you know how it works? That you think they
run a
do all their
business, I have
shopping?
done for
They
30
run
years.
they do all their shopping on the main street before they go to the market,
But no, they would come to the town
and
they
walk
would run.
through it and go to the
But
market.
Your argument is that no matter what I say, you're not going to go with it.
Because you're talking about
so
people.
you bring the people into the town,
So-
and that's not good enough.
You're talking about how many.
We'll put fences at the end of church.
So do you know what
Road.
happens, Dave? If we put on Woodstock here and we just had people come down for a festival and then say, well, they go past the whale, they could go into the whale too if they wanted to.
No, that's not
That's
very
arse
valid.
and bollocks, and
No,
you know
that-
it is.
that is not
They
an
just
argument.
come
That
to
doesn't
see the
work
market.
at all.
90%
No.
of the people would go to the market and that's their day done. Because they've got food here, they've got all the gifts they want to get, and they can have a walk by the sea and boom, they're gone home. So the idea that they're suddenly swarming the town,
Okay, so-
buying houses, going to the Hungry Monk for dinner,
Bringing people into
Bollocks.
the town. What more can we do?
you can make sure that when you bring the people to town, they have a great market, but you don't take up every weekend that these shops are asking for, because that's their one time. This is harvest time for them. This is the one time they can pay all the bills for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that's what they're asking. They said,
But your whole argument, Paul, with all due respect,
I think you're
like
trying
the
to
piece
make
you
it my
posted
whole
up
argument.
before, is very one-sided.
what did I say? What?
You posted up a letter from one of the traders, and you just cut and pasted it into the.
I didn't cut and paste. That was a letter.
It was a letter. What do you
Right.
mean?
I didn't
You just-
cut and paste it. I just had to sort of basically.
Well, you put it
It's
up
a
on
press
it,
release,
if we're
yeah.
going to go with this. So
Right.
you're essentially now not being an unbalanced journalist.
Hold
You
on.
are
If you
taking
if
one
you
side
say
of this
something's a
argument.
press release, they're letting people know this comes from Sinn Féin, this comes from Fianna
Yeah.
Fáil. You're not saying I believe everything Fianna Fáil are just saying in this press release. You're saying this came from Fianna Fáil.
Yeah.
So how the hell does that make you biased?
Because if you take one position, which you've done
I didn't
already,
take the
You
position.
are taking it now.
I'm talking to you now as an individual,
Yeah.
but that putting anybody's press release out is not taking a side. It is just putting their press release out.
But there was no balance.
But I offered Beth, I said it to Siobhan, they can write their balance. They was going to write it, but they didn't. Okay. I think they were having too much fun on social media.
Well, we're doing it now, but you've still taken up that position. With all due respect,
I am now taking that position when I look at the reaction that letter got. Here's literally, they are people trying to keep their head above water. They're drowning. And as I said, people start throwing rocks at them and saying, fuck you, why don't you like the water that you're in? Stay in the water. This is a nonsense. This is a great market. This is a great market. I should be here. But
social media thing, and I never followed any of it. I didn't do Facebook or look at them or any of the posts. Not one I did see. Except I got the reaction from some of the traders who said it was appalling and they really were hurt by it. And I said, distancing myself individually, but as a group,
that's fine.
We did not put this up as a campaign. It took off, and you know what social media is like. It
absolutely. And I think it's nearly all Facebook.
People end up with a glass of Chardonnay and the keyboard and off the
Sure. So my job
then is
job then is to try and put some balance on that, because it was unfair. It was very demonizing of the shops.
Unfair.
And I think that they're not bad people. And same way that people running the market are doing a great job. That's what I'm saying, that there's ultimately a responsibility on both sides to figure out what would work here that makes everybody happy. And you're telling me that you can't run less than 5 weeks. That suggests it's just like a too big a market now. It's like it's a big business, and that's a shame, because it should be. And I said this to you last year. It should be just crafters. We had stuff. You had stuff down there. Maybe they're gone now, but they're just made in China handbags.
No.
Well, they're made. There was stuff imported, jewelry imported.
I know you've the inventory of the markets to make sure that we're not actually competing with any of the town shops. In other words, as you mentioned, knock off handbags and stuff like that. No, we took that very seriously and we addressed it. The thing with Paul is being realistic. If we were to run it for 3 weeks, it actually, the critical mass is not there. So we have the same problem. The critical mass isn't there for the charities. We're better off shut it down.
But like, you don't, this idea that it has to be, all this has to add up for the charities, it really just has to add up for the stall holders, and that you don't lose money on it, and that if you have money left over for charity, great. But if it is a benefit for these stall holders who spend their year making good stuff, and this is their chance to sort of really get out to the public, great. But it shouldn't be that you're now compelled to run it for 5 weeks with over nearly 100 stalls. But that's a monster.
Your argument now is still the 5 weeks. That's all you've argued.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's too big. You're saying you say it has to run to
the critical mass isn't there. Unfortunately, we try to.
But if you make it smaller and you make it that it is it isn't like this big a market for this long a run, because it's a huge undertaking, and it does take a big chunk, because that's naturally going to be a much bigger business if you've got that many stalls.
It's so big, or if it is bigger than it was say 10 years ago, is for that very reason. It's a very, very well supported market. It puts Greystones on the map.
Sure.
The market in Greystones, and Greystones is the name of it. It's seen as,
for a brand and all that, it's doing good for the town. It's a good branding. People will know Greystones. It doesn't help the shops in the main street though. And I think it's a very, very needed thing. It should be there. The market should be there, but it just needs to be rethunk about how big it is, how much you can handle it, like not being on for that long, that you have your great run for 3 or 4 weeks. It just seems like it's gotten to the point where the very fact that it's that big, it's going to take up a lot more businesses. So it just seems unfair on the shops that this is an uneven playing field, that they can't compete with that.
I think it's regrettable. I really do. And I wish, sitting here talking to you, Paul, I wish to God there's a magic wand I could wave, but there isn't. You
don't think you don't have the power to make it smaller, to say, well, we're going to have like 70 or we're going to have 60 stalls, and we're going to have it that it's going to run, it doesn't have the overhead, shouldn't be as big then? Or
no, it's not. I mean, if you look, there are averages, and I mean, we are around the 70. 75. It's not 100.
Okay.
So it is compact, and you see, we're restricted by the size of the marquee in the winter, the Christmas one, because it'll only take so many people, and then we've some outside gazebos. But with weather and the darkness and all the rest of it, that forces us to keep it more compact.
But how did it run then when it was half the size? Was that money losing all the time?
Well, we only had the marquee, I think, for the last 3 years.
Right, but before that, how did it run then? If you were saying it's the cost, you need to keep the cost, basically cover all the costs by having it for 5 weeks with this amount of people. But it ran for years without this kind of scale.
Yeah, because it was in the boatyard, and it was small.
And you had a marquee there, and it was doable.
Had smaller marquees. Yeah, that's true.
But that's possible then, maybe just to sort of bring it down to being, because Christmas markets sort of in your mind are these little cute spots as opposed to like Dundrum Shopping Centre.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like anything. I mean, organically it has grown because we run it so well and it's so well known. I mean, this is the point you're missing.
But your responsibility though is to figure out what works best for the town. As much as you could say, well, it's really popular, we'll just keep... Yeah, you could say, well, we'll make it bigger because people like it. Of course, every stallholder in the world wants to say, I'll 25 quid, I'll go there and have my stall for a day. Of course, you could probably have like 500 stalls there if you wanted. That's not the case. It's not a case of like, oh, how many stallholders can we get because that makes it successful. It's figuring out what fits in the town, what benefits the town as a whole, and let people have somewhere magical to go.
But this is bad. I mean, you could argue the number of stalls is actually irrelevant. The only argument would be, because I mean, if it's...
But you're telling me it's the cost and keeping it all together.
It has to have the critical mass, otherwise it makes no sense financially.
But that depends on the scale that you're working on, and the scale is very big now.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as the last 2 years. It's not
right? Yeah, it's just that's why it's come up now in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
like
well,
it's beginning.
Access to the plaza,
it's because the shop itself, shops have realised how big it is.
All right, take an example then. What about the support that we get for the market and what we do at the market? What about
it's a
all that?
wonderful thing. I said it's a wonderful thing. There's no question, and it should always be there. But you have to look at the overall picture of the town and how it may be affecting businesses and how it may be so big that it's actually pulling away from the town.
I'll give you an example, right? One of our, and this is something that maybe the business, and I have one quick thing to mention after this. One of our exhibitors is an absolute genius with social media. She's been running, Brooke, put a name on her name is Brooke. She's been running an absolutely massive campaign online for all the platforms, TikTok, Facebook, all the usuals, right? And it's to promote Greystones.
So you keep saying that as if, you know, it's going to be magic. Yeah, okay, of course, you're in Greystones and the market takes place in Greystones and you absolutely want to say hooray for Greystones. But the fact is that what you're going to really do is you're bringing most of the business to this area, to the stalls. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. But saying it on social media that, like, go into Greystones, be in Greystones.
We're doing something. And we're also taking out adverts. We've taken them out.
I know, in newspapers and
to promote Greystones, not just the market.
So do you mention the market in the ads?
Well, of course we do.
Get out of it, you dirty idiot. We promote Greystones. Of course, like if you have a market in Howth, if you have a market in Dalkey, of course you're going to mention Dalkey or Howth.
Greystones is being promoted. That's the main promotion of those ads and social media.
Okay, I'll tell you that. As I said, I think it should be there. It's a wonderful market. I just think it's an uneven playing field now at this stage, where it's just so big. It has pulled stuff out of the town.
Here's the thing I wanted to mention to you, right? In the new year, this is a program we've been running, right?
Right.
I mean, the retailers need to get on board with this, right?
Right.
It's called Destination Greystones, right? 9 million visitors come to Dublin every year, and 82% of them stay in Dublin. Why don't we get them to get on the train as a day trip out from the city? I got that idea when Lorraine and I were in Lisbon, and we were staying outside in Kishkash, and it's a half an hour out of Lisbon.
Right.
And he just said, why don't we do something like that? You have a beautiful trip out on the train it's one of the most scenic routes ever. You know, your man did the railway thing, Michael Portillo.
Yeah.
He said this
people know this though, right? What? You know, people are aware of the trip.
No, tourists aren't.
They must be.
Okay,
all right. Hooray, absolutely. Do a new...
We're going to make this an absolute humdinger to bring people, the trip on the train, the walk on the cliff, if it ever happens. And this is what we're doing proactively to do.
And who's doing this? Sorry, I'm very. This is great. You know, it'd be wonderful.
I've been working with the town team on it.
Great. Okay, absolutely. Greystones definitely.
9 million people. Now we could make here an absolute.
You're throwing out numbers. You're throwing out numbers if you're genuinely going. Like, it's great. It's absolutely great. But it's not to do with the market. It's not to do. All we're dealing with here solely is the fact of the uneven playing field that's sort of evolved over the last 3 years, and it's absolutely crucial. The market should be there. It's absolutely crucial that our shop should be there. I said that. I said the market should be there.
No, for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you need to look. Yeah, that's what I'm saying ultimately. But that's the uneven. That's the uneven playing field. I said it's an uneven playing field, so you need to. No. I said uneven playing field, and that's what it is. That you've got much more business going on down here for 5 weeks. That just does affect the town.
We worked out, Paul, the number of hours the market works, and I haven't got it at the top of my head, and it's not very.
How many hours do I work?
We work, Go on. Well, I won't get into that.
Right.
Half 11 to 5 o'clock.
Right.
On Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
That's all.
So you think people...
Work out the numbers, there's not many hours.
So you think after 6 o'clock people are going to the town and to shopping?
No, I didn't say that at all.
But no, you're kind of suggesting that we only take those hours.
I'm only saying the number of
so
hours the market
you're taking the shop hours.
If we were running the market, and a lot of them do, Monday to Sunday,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, now you're in a different ballgame there. Right?
Well, you could do that. You could say like 3 weeks or 2 weeks of Monday to Sunday, like the last week in November, the first week in December, and have a great.
Sure, that'll be ridiculous.
Well, I don't think, no, at that time it's great. It's just that when it comes right up to close to Christmas, there's a real need for every shop does about 80% of their business over the 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of December.
I've heard that before, but I can't believe that's true.
Well,
I mean,
a lot of shops say
the
it.
gift shops particularly do business, obviously, for other things than for Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, but they all benefit hugely at Christmas. It is a big, big part of their year that they just know that this is the one time people will say, yes, we're going to grab presents. But listen, as I said, I do love the market. I hope it's always there. I just think it needs a sit down between people because they're all good people, both sides, and just figure out what's going to work that would actually help,
My
both sides.
intention initially was to meet the people involved, have a sit down, as you said, with them, which I did.
Right.
And I listened to everything they had to say.
Yeah.
And we offered them for a free stall down at the market.
That's bollocks. Absolutely bollocks. Put a free stall in it. Like you want Lorient or Brook and Shields to have a table, and what? Like charge like what they have to charge to make ends meet?
No.
How could they do that?
It was a gesture.
But it's just a silly gesture.
Terms,
like Chakra can go down to the food trucks. Let Chakra and Data have a little table down in the. That's exactly the same if you put a food trucks like village down in the Burnaby Park.
You are really digging this whole.
It's just that's an insult though. It's an insult.
It isn't an insult.
To say you can have a stall with us is an insult.
It isn't.
It is.
It isn't.
Like why? How could they possibly operate?
Businesses.
All right, that's great marketing. That's great marketing.
It's an opening.
Please go up to the main street after you've finished here and go into my shop.
So the other argument was shut the market down because it doesn't suit us. Sorry, that's not going to happen.
No, I think that may have been one option, but the serious option was just not.
The market down is a fair option.
No, I said it was one of the options you're telling me was out there, but I think the one that works is just not being open as much as it is because it takes up 5 weeks, and that's a lot of time, over Christmas.
Yeah, but as I said, look at the numbers and the hours that we're actually operating. They're very small.
You're operating during working like shop hours. That's what you're operating in. That's what. But you're making it like it's some sort of like great sacrifice on your part. That's the shopping hours you're open. So how is that a sacrifice?
I didn't say it was a sacrifice.
But you're making a point of it.
I'm saying that they're the number of hours we're open.
Right.
That's all.
Okay, but you're making it like, look at the hours we're open.
It's 11 to 5.
Look at the hours we're open.
6 hours, 12 hours
of shopping at the shopping hours.
12 hours.
At the prime Christmas time shopping hours.
What about then? Okay.
Open from 11 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Open from midnight till 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Go on, try that.
Well, try and figure out all the people going to Dundrum Shopping Centre. Why don't you put a big promo out to them? Why don't the businesses
Absolutely.
say,
Amazon, there's lots of things that need to be.
I don't see any campaign in Greystones, shop local.
There is every year. It says
I haven't seen it.
They're on every bin. It says shop local, stay local.
The bins.
Yeah, it's on. It's a campaign. It's in the windows of every shop. It's a slogan. And on the bins. What do you want to do? Have like people walk around with sandwich boards?
Put together a freaking social media campaign. You banged it. I mean, put a sticker in your window. Now, with all due respect, put a sticker in your window and put it on the bins. Right. That's our real
all over the town.
Strategy.
But Wicklow County Council put them online as well. They have a campaign on their social media.
People are going to go to Wicklow County Council's website.
So which website are you talking about?
Shopping local.
Right.
Now, you're the one talking.
You're telling me now that suddenly it's Greystones' fault for not promoting itself enough.
I'm saying that there are options out there to promote. You've done Drum only 5 kilometres.
I know, and you've Amazon all over the air. Of course, you've got other competitors. Absolutely, that's a given. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. That's what makes it even more of a struggle when times are hard and people have easy options to go to. That's when you really struggle.
This is my point. I mean, putting a sticker in your window and putting a sticker on the
You're
bins.
going back to the sticker. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about.
That's not shopping local.
That's just a campaign. You said there was no campaign.
Part of it, Paul. It's part of marketing the town. Is shop local. Now that's not been marketed at all, really properly. But that's not my area. I'm not going to say people should do this or do that.
Yeah, it's going on about what Greystones promotion has been out there. Greystones town team have breaking their balls the last good few years, trying to get as much, basically good things to happen in town, whether it be picnics in the park, the Christmas lights, Paddy's Day. So there's a huge amount of work going on trying to, make sure people know that Greystones is a good place to be. So I wouldn't blame any of them. I think that there's no town I know that has a great campaign that tells you go to their town.
I mean,
But
people
I
are
haven't
suffering.
seen.
You become active about it. You get together.
But there is activity going on, of course, and I think it's an unfortunate.
You just glossed over that there because I.
No. Because it's a stupid argument. You're telling me that there isn't enough done in the town.
I'm saying that there isn't a proper
So what's
local.
There isn't a shop. It's a huge campaign that goes on every year.
Where is it?
Where do you live? Do you ever leave the house?
Where is it?
Take a walk up the main street. You'll see
Rather
them.
than insulting me, tell me where it is.
They're on the main street. No.
On the bins. You
All
said
over
that.
town. I said all over town. They've been
Where all over town?
There's always a campaign called Shop Local, Stay Local. They launch it every year around Christmas, and it happens to be on every bin. They put it on every shop window. They put it everywhere, and they put it in all the papers.
By virtue of your point,
yes,
it's not very successful.
Well, obviously,
that's not our fault.
Obviously, it's not always going to be successful, and obviously, they're very kind of flat campaigns, but they're campaigns. And the fact that we're dealing with what is just at its core a simple equation here in the town, that there is a Christmas period where a lot of shops rely on their business, and we leave it at this. There's just an uneven playing field at the moment, and it's a real shame the shops got hammered by even suggesting that they're in trouble. And the fact that they're drowning.
Who's hammering you?
The social media campaign.
Now that I'm not getting involved in.
I didn't say you did it.
I had nothing to do with
Did I say, Dave, at any point that you did it?
No,
I said that it's a reality.
I'm making it clear to anyone listening
You've
to this
acknowledged
that
it.
we had, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The market had nothing
But
to
you
do.
acknowledge that it happened. That's all I'm saying.
Of
It
course
happened.
it happened.
Right, that's what I said. I didn't say that you, Dave, did anything.
I accept it happened with
Right.
great regret.
Right, so that's why I'm here. It's just to try and put some balance in it, that people realise there's good people on both sides, people are doing a good job, go to the market, but do go to the town, and then ultimately behind the scenes, figure out a way that they can exist and both sides are happy, because it's a very tough business.
Tried to do I started this in June, trying to contact the businesses.
Yeah. And I've seen some of the emails. They're not always pretty emails. There's a lot of kind of like accusations of people not being able to market properly, people not being able to do their job. Ridiculous stuff. The bottom line is that it would be better if there was an even playing field at Christmas, and that just might mean going back to the drawing board a bit and saying, okay, we need to scale down the market a bit. It should always be there. It's a gorgeous market, but if it's become such a monster that you need 5 weeks to pay it off and to be able to pay the charities and all that, it's quite a monster of a market, and it would be just nice to get back to the original idea
it's not. Can I qualify that?
Yes,
it's not a monster of a market.
But why does it need 5 weeks?
Successful market.
Right, because you're in a beautiful town and you're taking up 5 weeks at Christmas, of course.
You're making us like the pariahs. We're not pariahs.
No. I said you should be here.
Cultural and
adding to the cultural and economic what? The cultural and the.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. You just need to rethink just how much of it is going to be
your
happening.
Opinion. I accept that. I respect your opinion.
Okay, so you, as far as you're concerned, that it's going to stay the way it is.
But that was the final we have come up with at this point.
Okay, so you're rather the shop's
make
asking.
Decisions here in
I understand, but it's just that the fact that you know this has been such an issue that you don't feel it might be something you can address for the next year.
Well, I mean, no, because where we stand is we look at the economic temperature of the water and we have to take the hit. That's the problem. I mean, there is a sort of a little bit of audaciousness when it's sort of, well, if the market was shut down, we'll solve all our problems. It isn't going to solve all the problems.
Nobody is saying that.
If
I think
we shut
they
that
said,
down,
hold on,
it's not going to do any good to the
I think,
business.
and you said this earlier. I think somebody suggested once, maybe, that just this year you could take a break so we can catch up. That was all. Nobody's saying shut it down. We don't like it. Don't be here.
That's the same as shutting it down.
For 1 year, they may have suggested that. Nobody's going to say that was the right.
It wasn't one person; it was a few people.
Okay, and that might not have been the best suggestion, but it was certainly part of their thinking that they are suffering and that this takes a huge amount of money.
Do you really believe, if I said to you now,
Yeah.
do you know what, Paul, we're going to shut the market down? Do you really believe that the businesses are going to do absolutely brilliant trade? Come on, it's going to be the same.
They'll do better. They'll do better.
They may do
They'll do
bit
better. Right, and that bit better might keep
Shut
them
the market
open.
down.
That doing a bit better might keep them open. I said the best thing would have been to try and be less, less than 5 weeks, not to be the full 5 weeks, to give the whole of December over to the shops who absolutely need that trade to stay alive. As I said, three have closed last month, and there's others
Coming
teaching.
back to the point I just made,
Right.
do you really believe, if I was to say to you, we've decided to shut the market down this year, it's gone, we're not running it, that would increase tangibly the income that the businesses on the main street would have?
Yeah.
You do.
It would increase it.
I don't.
Absolutely would increase it. Yeah.
What percentage?
I have no idea what the percentage is, but of course, if there aren't 100 stalls in the same town offering cheap Christmas gifts, I think the shops on the main street would benefit.
Extrapolate from that.
Right.
If the dart services were running on a regular basis, the way they should.
Yes, sir.
Is that a bigger drawback? And if the
darts are great, of course they would bring people in. But there's
running.
27,000 people live here, and they would need to get Christmas shopping. At least like a third of them would be buying Christmas shopping.
And here's one of
if they have options, they'll go to the cheaper option.
That point out though, the Cliff Walk is the other one. There's the three.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
What about the increase in the size of Greystones? Greystones since I moved here is double.
We're nearly at the 6-hour mark, so I'll have to wrap it up soon.
But you keep asking me questions.
No, I keep saying something, and then you just argue back that what about this?
You're taking up a position, right? We won't get
right.
We're running out of time.
I'm taking up a position where I think it would be nice to be an even playing field for everybody.
You keep saying that, but the point I'm making is that we're seen as the bogeyman and we're the major problem. We're not.
No, they're not. You're not. You were third on the list of problems.
We may actually be a bonus to the town.
You're a bonus to, like, if you say footfall is what people want, that makes money somehow. That people walking in the town makes us money. Great. It's wonderful that they come here. I think 90% of them spend their money here. They don't go off and buy property and adopt cats and help orphans up the main street. They come here, they have a great day, it's a wonderful thing, but this is where they spend their money.
What about the increase in the population of Greystones?
Right.
Massive increase.
Yeah, and they would also probably...
So that means
they would come down here.
There's double the footfall for the town.
Right.
No, the town.
Right.
Fair.
So
they will go to the gift shops.
And we have to wrap it up soon now.
No problem. They go to the coffee shops, they go to the restaurants, you go to most...
Not as much as they used to, but yeah.
Well, they do. I mean,
there's been a major dip,
If there's good weather. I mean,
Dave, there's been a dip, Dave. Like, generally there's a dip. There's an economic dip, and people are not as busy as they were.
That's going to affect everyone, including us.
Right. Well, not really at Christmas. Christmas is exceptional because people really feel the need to buy something for their loved ones. It's just the time of year. They don't feel it in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August, September, October, and into November. So it's just a natural thing that this is the busiest time of year for most places. And I do think the market should be here. It should be here always, hopefully. And there's lovely people, as I said, running the market. There's lovely people running the shops. It would be great if there was a settlement between you that figured out this is the best way for everybody to be happy. Boom, I'm going.